All human tradition is the product of the evolution of our beliefs, the mythologies and stories we create to explain the world around us. Halloween is one such tradition that tries to give meaning to the human experience of life and death, the eternal cycle of beginnings and endings. Its story is the story of the evolution and spread of culture throughout the modern world. Halloween derives its origins from the ancient Celtic festival of Samhain, which means summer's end. This celebration marks the end of summer and the beginning of winter. This transition from summer to winter is associated with the coming of death because the warmth that supported the life of crops that people depend on for sustenance is replaced by the cold that decimates crops and the dark of winter. Samhain also marks the end of the harvest season, when cattle were brought in from pasture and livestock were slaughtered. During this time, hearth fires of homes were left to burn out to symbolize the end of the summer months, while the final harvest of the season was collected. After the harvest work was finished, the community gathered around a central bonfire to celebrate the festival, which is led by a druid priest. During the festival, people dressed in different costumes wore masks to ward off any evil spirits that may wish them harm. It is also during this time that the druid priests made predictions of the coming new year. After the celebration, people took hot embers from the bonfire to relight the hearths in their homes. During this time, the Celts believed that the boundary between the physical world, or the world of the living, and the spiritual world, or the world of the dead, is at its thinnest. This thinning of the boundaries between the physical plane and the spiritual plane allow the spirits of the dead, along with otherworldly entities, to freely roam the land of the living. Celts believe that during this time that ghosts of the dead will visit their old homes, and their living relatives and those who have died during the year are believed to journey to the otherworld. Another belief is that spirits that have been wronged by the living during their lifetime will exact vengeance upon the persons that have wronged them. Otherworldly spirits or beings are also said to freely roam the living plane. This time include fairies, elves, Puka, a shape-shifting monster, Lady Gwyn, a headless woman who chases night wanderers accompanied by a black pig, the Doolahans, who appear as headless men carrying their own head riding flame-eyed horses, and Jack-o'-lantern, also known as Stingy Jack, who tricked the devil, and as a result was punished to walk the earth for eternity, holding a burning coal from hell placed inside a turnip to light his way. To ward off these spirits, the Celts would light bonfires and wear costumes made of animal skins and heads, so that these wandering spirits would mistake them as their own and leave them alone. They would also leave offerings of food and drink outside their homes to appease any spirits that might come knocking and prevent them from causing harm. Roman times, the Romans conquered the majority of the Celtic lands in 43 AD. This marked the 400-year Roman occupation of Celtic lands. The Romans brought with them their own beliefs and traditions to celebrate and exorcise the dead, namely the festivals of Feralia, Lemuria, and Pomona. Feralia is the time the Romans honored their benevolent ancestors by bringing offerings to their tombs. Lemuria is dedicated to the dangerous and vengeful spirits of those who died of violent or untimely deaths. The festival of Pomona, which is celebrated in close proximity with Samhain, is in honor of the Roman goddess of abundance, harvest, and fruit. Her symbol is an apple, which is seen as the origin of apple bobbing during Halloween. This long occupation and interaction between the Celts and Romans caused aspects of these Roman traditions to be integrated or mixed with the Celtic celebration of Samhain. Time of Christianity. The fall of the Roman Empire paved the way for the rise of Christianity. As Christianity spread across Europe, the Roman Catholic Church adapted modified versions of other religious traditions in order to convert the population belonging to other beliefs. In 609 AD, Pope Boniface III rededicated the Roman Pantheon, a temple originally built for Roman gods, to Christian saints. He also made May 13th the feast day of all Christian saints. Later, Pope Gregory IV moved the celebration day of all Christian saints from May 13th to the 1st of November. This is the origin of the word Halloween. Hallow means holy, which refers to the saints, combined with the word Eve, which means the night before. Christianity's influence on Halloween can be seen in the transformation of the practice of leaving food for the souls of the departed. In Celtic times, food was offered for the souls of those who had passed away, but when Christianity spread across Europe, this was replaced by giving food, also known as soul cakes, to the poor. The The poor people would knock on doors of the rich people in the community and be given food or soul cakes in exchange for prayers for the souls of the deceased relatives of the rich people. Today, Halloween is celebrated in 39 out of 195 countries around the world. The spread of Halloween throughout the world is attributed to colonization and immigration. When the British settlers headed over to the New World in the 17th and 18th century, they brought with them the tradition of Halloween. The potato famine of Ireland, 1845 to 1852, brought about the immigration of 1.5 million Irish men, women, and children to America. The Irish brought with them their traditions, including the carving of pumpkins and the dressing up in costumes, which were meant to scare away evil spirits. By the 1920s, Halloween had become a secular holiday, celebrated with parties, parades, and trick-or-treating. With the rise of American pop culture in the mid-20th century, Halloween began to spread around the world. The commercialization of the holiday, with the sale of costumes and decorations, helped to spread its popularity. The holiday also became more family-friendly, with children dressing up in costumes and going trick-or-treating for candy. In Canada and the United Kingdom, the holiday has a similar focus on costumes and candy, while in Mexico and other Latin American countries, it is celebrated as the Day of the Dead, a time to honor deceased loved ones with food, music, and dance. Today, Halloween is celebrated in many countries around the world, although the traditions may vary from place to place. The holiday is a cultural phenomenon that continues to evolve with each passing year.